Hello there, I'm Aldrahill, and in the most recent DLC for HOI4 No Step Back, tanks and combat in general received a really big change. However, some people are saying that tanks just don't seem to be worth it, and it's better to just use the good old tried and tested infantry and artillery instead. In this video, I'm going to compare the stats for some different tank divisions with infantry and artillery, and time just how long it takes for them to defeat the same opponent to get to the bottom of what is better, tanks or infantry. If you're interested in more HOI4 content, definitely subscribe to this channel, as I'm pretty enamored with HOI4 at the moment. And if you want more theory crafting and stat comparing content, let me know by liking the video and leaving a comment down below telling me something else that you would like tested in the most recent patch, and I'll test it on my stream at twitch.tv/Aldrahill and maybe make another video on it. Also, click the bar appearing now at the top right hand corner of the video to watch my playthrough of playing Tsarist Russia. It's pretty fun. Okay, so here is how the test is going to go. I've created two different tank division templates using technology that would be available around 1938. I call these the Infantry 38 and the Anti-Tank 38. My thinking is that with all the customization available for tanks, you're going to want one tank template for pushing against defensive enemy infantry, and another tank division to combat enemy tanks. Seeing as technology adds a lot of useful tank bonuses over the years, I've also made a separate version using 1940 technology using the improved medium chassis. To compare, I've built what seems to be a good pushing infantry template made up of about 22 width, 8 infantry, 2 artillery, alongside some light tank recon support company for that tiny bit of armor and hardness. I picked this template to allow for a good efficiency of attacking into planes, which is 90 width with a reinforcement of 45. I think this template could do with some improvement, but it serves alright for the experiment. Using these different divisions, I'm going to fight the exact same battle in the exact same setup, with first without any doctrines, and then again with relevant doctrines. And just to eliminate any random variances, I'm going to do each battle 3 times. Don't worry, I'm going to speed it up. Alright, I'm going to explain the tank templates in a little bit more detail now, and explain my reasoning for why I picked what I did. But if you just want to see the different battle tests, then skip ahead to the time on your screen right now. Or if you just want to see the results and my conclusions, skip to the time appearing now. Okay, so the tank templates themselves. For the 38 infantry tank, I made a pretty standard 20 width using mediums and motorized. They've got what I think are all of the relevant support companies, namely logistics, support RT, maintenance, motorized recon, and signal company. The 38 anti-tank is basically the same, only I swapped the support artillery for support anti-air to help mitigate planes, and also to give a little bit more piercing. The 1940 version is very similar, only I replaced the motorized with mechs because they're available in 1940, and I also use flame companies instead of motorized recon, which is available from the 39 tech of Engineers 2 in the support branch, and it also uses Radio 3s, which are just insanely good. The actual tank designs are as follows. The 38 infantry tank uses the close support gun for the highest soft attack, decent armor, and a speed of 11 kilometers. Slightly lower production cost because you probably would want more of these than the anti-tank tanks. The 38 anti-tanks use the basic high velocity cannon for the best piercing and hard attack, and focus on armor, piercing, and some good reliability. Armor skirts and sloped armor to improve armor when fighting tanks, and using cast armor despite its high production cost, and enough in engines to get it to just 8 kilometers. The 40 infantry tank uses the improved medium howitzer, focusing again on soft attack and reliability, and it only needs to get to 8 kilometers as it's paired with mechs. The 40 anti-tank uses the improved high velocity cannon, focuses on hard attack, sloped armor, and armor skirts, and it also uses the smooth bore bonus for an extra 10% piercing, which is available by this point. Alright, now on to actually looking at the tank divisions. Here are both of the 38 tank designs, infantry tank on the left and anti-tank on the right. You can see that I've specified that each division can only have the required type of tank, which you can do by disallowing other types in the equipment section of the division. The infantry tank clearly has a ton of soft attack and breakthrough, along with being fast enough to effect encirclements. The anti-tank is weirdly a bit more balanced, but it has plenty of hard attack plus higher armor and piercing. I think this one could probably do a bit more armor and some tweaking though. The organization on both of these is below the standard 30, but that's because these are without any doctrines what I'm showing you here, and those would normally give the necessary org boost, so don't worry, this is just for my test and to show you here. Now, here are the 1940 versions. The 40 infantry tank on the left has so much soft attack, plus an insane quantity of breakthrough, while the 40 anti-tank has an insane 94 piercing and 439 breakthrough, alongside enough hard attack to destroy any armor it comes across. And now, on to the tests. For ease of visibility and timing, each battle is taking place in the same circumstance. The fight will start at 10 AM and will involve 3 divisions of each template, attacking a single Danish infantry division in planes and no weather effects. I will time the number of hours it takes to defeat the division, repeat each test 3 times, and average the results. First we'll do it without any doctrines, and then again with doctrines. So first up, the pushing infantry. Okay, that first test took 46 hours to complete, but let's do it 2 more times to account for any random chances. Okay, 46 hours and 47, so I'm just going to call it 46. Definitely not bad. Now on to the 38 infantry tank. Okay, the time for all 3 tests were 29 hours, 32 hours, and 32 again, so I'll average that to 31. Obviously an improvement over the infantry, but not by a lot, right? Just for fun, let's see the anti-tank division's performance. Obviously these guys are intended for use on tanks only, but they will also be fighting some wayward infantry divisions at some point, no matter what happens, so it's good to see. This one had a big swing. First was 96 hours, second 100, and the third only 37. Averaged out at 77, though I think the fast time on the third test was to do with the enemy failing at their tactics or something. Now the 40 infantry tank. Though bear in mind that the enemy divisions are going to be behind in tech and would have way more defense and entrenchment by 1940 realistically. 16, 16, and 23, averaging out to about 18 hours. Obviously super fast, but they are ahead of time for tech. Now the 40 anti-tanks. (71, 52, and 55, averaging to 59 hours. Okay, so from all that, the infantry tanks obviously do win, especially the tanks designed to fight infantry, but it's not by much, right? The infantry defeat their opponents in an average of 46 hours, whereas the pushing tank at the same time period does it in 31 hours. That's better, but is 15 hours really worth that much extra production and army XP? Well, let's try and make the scenario a bit more realistic by adding in some doctrines now. For the infantry test, I've picked the first 2 doctrines of superior firepower, as these directly affect soft attack and organization, and are what a player would probably be able to achieve by 1938-ish. You could also get the third, but it only affects defense. Of course, if you're actually skipping tanks and just doing infantry, you should actually be able to get more doctrines because you've saved on army XP, but I was just trying to make it fair. For the tank tests, I would get the first 3 of mobile warfare, which feels about right for what you would be able to achieve. Okay, so let's just repeat all the tests over again, only this time, now with their relevant doctrines, and maybe sped up a little bit more. The doctrine infantry average out to 30 hours, the 38 infantry tanks manage 26, the 38 anti-tank gets a weirdly slow 93 hours, the 40 infantry tank gets a speed of 21 hours, and the 40 anti-tank gets 54 hours. Okay, doctrines obviously play a pretty big part, cutting down the necessary hours really nicely. In an ideal matchup, infantry divisions with artillery in them can kill an enemy infantry in only 30 hours, which is only 4 hours slower than an infantry tank designed for that very purpose. Those precious few hours might be worth it to you though, so you might still be interested in tanks, but have you considered their actual cost? Here are the production stats for each division. As you can see, looking just at the infantry versus the 38 infantry tank, the difference is insane. An infantry division costs just 1,264 production versus a whopping 7,462 for the 38 infantry tank. This means you could build almost 6 infantry divisions for every tank division, all for a measly extra 4 hours. Now, I'll grant you this is not a perfect experiment. After all, the tanks can be further perfected and have better reliability, plus this doesn't take into account the manpower difference, as 6 infantry divisions would be about 65,000 manpower versus only about 9,500 for a single tank division, all costing the same production. But the difference is obviously still pretty stark. Plus, the only time you should really be thinking about limited manpower is when you're playing as a minor nation without a huge pool of available men. But then the production cost of tanks is already too high for you, so you would still be better off using infantry. All of this doesn't even go into the absolutely insane resource cost of producing these tank divisions. While the 38 infantry tank only uses steel, the 40 infantry tank requires 2 steel, 3 tungsten, and 1 chromium for every factory, and even the 38 anti-tank needs an extra steel and some tungsten. From all these tests, plus my own playing around in my own games, it just seems that tanks aren't really worth it. You can accomplish more by simply just building a huge army of infantry and artillery divisions with some regular infantry and an engineer support company to hold the line. If enemy tank divisions are giving you trouble, you could either just build dedicated anti-tank divisions using anti-tank, or only build the anti-tank tank templates I've shown you here to keep them ready to counter enemy armor. Other than that, tanks for pushing just don't seem to be worth it. That's all I have for you in this video, and I'm sure I missed out loads of info, but I hope you found this little stat comparison helpful. I'm still going to play around with tank divisions and work on templates, and honestly still probably use them in a lot of my games because they're really fun. But for multiplayer and for being optimal in single player, I'm just not sure tanks are worth it when compared to solid infantry and artillery divisions. Thanks so much for watching. Again, if you want to watch my series playing as the Tsarists in Russia, you can click here, or you can check out my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/Aldrahill, where I'm usually playing HOI4. But otherwise, I hope you'll like and subscribe for more weirdly specific and analytical HOI videos. Bye bye.